Welcome to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. We are inside the Thomas and Mack Center on the campus of UNLV, and the top seed and defending Summer League champion Los Angeles Lakers getting set to take on the Detroit Pistons. And there's a look at the quarterfinal matchup. The winner of this game will face either Toronto or Cleveland. We've got a 25, a 27, a 29, and a 30 seed have all rolled in to the quarterfinals here in Las Vegas. With PJ Carlissimo, I'm Mark Kestisher. George Sedano will join us in just a little bit. We know the Lakers are the defending champs. Lonzo Ball not here this year. Kyle Kuzma not playing Summer League this year. But Josh Hart has done a pretty nice impression leading this crew.
Well, the second-year man has done more than a nice impression. He's been unbelievable. He's been the third leading scorer in the Summer League, and he's done it a variety of ways. We know he's been able to shoot the ball almost 200 last year, but there's the left-hand finish for Josh Hart, shooting it deep, also taking the ball to the basket. He's vying for a starting position this year with the Lakers.
And that cheer that you hear behind Josh Hart and his great Summer League numbers, well, that cheer you hear is LeBron James has entered the building. He's wearing Los Angeles Lakers gold and purple shorts. He's got the T-shirt on. There you see him sitting baseline and getting set to watch his new franchise Summer League team.
And he's not going to play this afternoon. He's just going to watch the game.
I didn't see him warm up, so we'll see if he's going to play. But LeBron James, who signed the 4-year max, of course, this crowd is on its feet. Everybody has their cell phones out taking pictures of LeBron James. Will be watching the Summer League courtside team. And it's interesting as we move on to the Detroit Pistons, who they're going to face this afternoon. Bruce Brown, the number 42 overall pick, probably going to be checking Josh Hart today.
He's definitely going to be checking Josh Brown. We talked to Sean Sweeney, the Detroit head coach, and I'll tell you what, he's a strong physical guard, an excellent defender. He showed his versatility here. He was injured most of last year for Coach Jim Larinaga, but he's got the ability to put it on the floor. Sweens has used him at 3 different positions, 1, 2, and 3, even a little bit at 4. He's finished some games as a point guard. You see a nice dish off right there. He's played very, very well, making up for lost time. He's got his work cut out for him this afternoon, Kesty.
Very physical guard out of the University of Miami. Let's take a look at our starting lineups for the first quarterfinal match of the day. The Detroit Pistons with Bruce Brown, Reggie Hearn. Henry Ellenson had himself a nice game yesterday in the second round matchup. And the Lakers, in addition to Josh Hart, of Alex Caruso. Svi Mykhailiuk has been an outstanding shooter so far here in Summer League. For the Lakers, one of 2 unbeatens left in Summer League. The Portland Trailblazers, the other. They'll take on the Celtics later today. The Detroit Pistons at 3-2. They started this Summer League with back-to-back losses. They have rolled off 3 consecutive wins.
The number 25 seed out of 30 teams. They're in the quarters.
Henry Ellenson had 21 points in the 72-66 win over the Chicago Bulls yesterday. Here's a look at Bruce Brown. We just talked about him missing on his first opportunity. Ball knocked out of bounds. Now 2 officials look at each other, and it will go to the Los Angeles Lakers. Last touch by Nana Egwu.
Good job by our crew, Tyler Ricks, Andy Nagy, and Ray Acosta. Officials being evaluated same as the players. They want to work in the big league.
Alex Caruso at the point. Played 37 games with the Lakers last year, and they leave open Ayers for the mid-range jumper. Mykhailiuk coming up with a rebound. Hart has been fantastic from three-point land here in the Summer League at 42%.
The gentleman sitting near the LA bench loves to see his teammates making threes. Josh Hart can do that regularly. He will get increased playing time for Luke Walton.
Egwu finds Ellenson, who's open, and he bags a triple. And Henry Ellenson was the 18th pick overall by the Pistons a couple of years ago. This was deemed a big Summer League for him, and last couple of games he's delivered.
He's taken advantage of it for sure.
Ellenson at 6'11", was one and done at Marquette, showing some ball handling as well here in Summer League. Let's check in with the third member of our crew, George Sedano.
Thanks, guys. Look, one of the discussions that's going on around the league now that LeBron is with the Lakers is what kind of shooting will this team have? Well, most people feel they don't have enough shooting, but I spoke to Josh Hart earlier this week, and he feels like he himself can contribute to that. He's a 40% shooter from three-point land last season. And let's take a look at this graphic we may have here. And you see some of the young guys in particular. They're counting on those young guys to be the guys that can even elevate their game even further. Kyle Kuzma shot 37% last year. Brandon Ingram shot 38%. they're expecting Lonzo to get better as he works on that shot. And a guy that wasn't pictured on that graphic was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who shot 38%. So even though the Lakers were 29th in the league last year in three-point shooting, they felt that the young guys could grow, and they kept the right guys to help as far as putting shooting around LeBron. And they didn't want specialists. That's the other part of the equation. They wanted guys who can do multiple things on the floor, and they feel like they've got a good complementary roster right now.
Well, they better get some specialists because some of those guys didn't take very many threes. KCP did, Kuzma did. The other guys are going to have to ratchet it up because it's one thing to come up with numbers when you don't take a lot of threes. When you start taking a lot of threes, you would hope that they'll be able to maintain those same percentages because there will be open threes playing with LeBron. No question about that.
Well, Josh Hart's been spectacular from three-point range here in Summer League. We told you 42% in their first 4 games. And a nice stroke here early on for Josh Hart. He's been working on his handle and really smoothing the three-point shot. That's been a focus here in Summer League for Josh Hart in his second year out of Villanova.
Well, Josh played in 63 games for the Lakers right there. Easy finish there. That one he's got no trouble finishing, but started 23 times, took just under 200 threes last year, and shot just under 40%. So you would think that argues very well for him stepping it up. More volume and maintain or even increase his percentage.
LeBron enjoying watching here. Summer League in Las Vegas. Turnover Detroit. And Josh Hart, we just saw that little Euro step move down the lane at the rim. That's another thing he's really, I think Magic Johnson and even has talked about this in the past, the president of basketball operations for the Lakers. They have, attacking off the dribble has been something that he has done very well. And Svi Mikhailuk out of Kansas played for the Ukrainian national team as well at a very young age of 16 and age of 17. They got him in the second round, another guy who could shoot it from the wing.
Well, Svi is an experienced rookie. The difference in this year's Laker team has a lot of veteran players. Josh Hart with a good steal there and a beautiful finish on the other end. Made the play and got it back. Last year was the young guys that was featured. Even though Lonzo Ball didn't play in a championship game, he and Kuzma, they did have help obviously from Caruso and Brandon Ingram, but it was more about the rookies or the draft picks last year. This year it's more about the veterans.
8-0 run for the Lakers as Speedy Smith goes air ball. Josh Hart showing all sides of his game so far.
Well, he was a good defender when he came out of Villanova, and he continues to do that. Hustles back in, uses the left hand to finish over Ellenson.
Lakers have built an 11-3 lead. Here's Svi from the corner. 11 straight points for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Svi for 3. Sean Sweeney's seen enough. He's got a timeout to talk to his Pistons. The King likes it.
I think the King's enjoying his Summer League squad. Welcome back to Las Vegas and the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League. Laker fans are in the house. LeBron James is in the house, and the Lakers have hit their last 5 shots in the midst of an 11-0 run behind Josh Hart, who's perfect so far.
Yeah, 3 for 3 is pretty good. Again, he played big minutes last year. He got good minutes, I should say. Had a chance to do something. That's the good news on a team that's rebuilding. The young guys get a chance to play, and now it's going to be different minutes this year because when you're playing in games and you're trying to win games, particularly in the Western Conference, it's a different type of competition.
Ellenson missing, and the Lakers looking to build on this 11-0 spurt right now. Ayers barely came up with that bounce pass. Nice drop step in the lane, couldn't finish. Does Josh Hart have a chance to supplant KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, potentially as a starting 2 when we get to late October?
Based on how he's playing, I would say yes. Based on the fact that I'm not aware of KCP ever coming off the bench. So that would be a transition for him, whereas Josh has come off the bench. Maybe that's easier for him, but clearly that's a Luke Walton decision. We'll see. You know, it's funny, I'm looking at this. It's great that LeBron is here, but as I'm looking out on the floor, obviously Josh Hart will be on the team. Svi Mikhailuk will be. Mo Wagner sitting on the bench. I don't think there's going to be anybody else. Probably there might be some two-way players, but not any other potential teammates on the floor for LA.
Yeah, Kuzma, Ingram, and Ball not participating in Summer League. The signing of Rajon Rondo, Lance Stevenson, JaVale McGee, and there's a look at Mo Wagner, the number 25 overall pick in this past draft.
Yeah, Mo unfortunately got a left knee contusion and hasn't been able to play. But again, Mo Wagner's a good player. I don't think both he and Svi come in, I think, a little older, a little more experienced, more ready to make that transition. The difference is the Laker team this year will be in the hunt. They're going to be competitive. Those are different minutes for young guys to play. You can't get in there and the coach just be patient with your mistakes. They're trying to win basketball games, and win basketball games in the Western Conference, particularly when your aspirations are to be at least a playoff team. That's a challenge.
We know Svi can stretch the defense a little bit, and Wagner can do the same at his size. At 6'11", out on the perimeter.
No question.
Shot the three ball well at Michigan.
Yeah, and I think he can get up and down the floor a little bit. Svi's got more of a handle. Svi, you know, people think he's just a standstill shooter. He's not. He can play basketball.
He's played off the ball pretty well here in the games that we've seen.
I agree.
And a little bit of defense, some flashes of defense.
Bill Self's teams play defense. No question about that.
Svi spent the last 4 years playing for Bill Self and just got denied right there by Zach Lofton, undrafted free agent from New Mexico State. Sends it over to Bruce Brown, missing from the perimeter. The Pistons really struggling on the offensive end. They've missed 7 straight shots.
And a couple of turnovers to boot. Lakers have done a good job both taking care of the ball and shooting it very, very well.
Ayers underneath in traffic scoring. The veteran at 31 years of age playing summer league ball out of Arizona State.
Yeah, former Jeff Pendergraft, but he's been around. He's played with a lot of different teams. I don't know who that pass was to.
Third turnover for Detroit. They seem to be playing a little too fast. Getting up in the air without an idea where it's going.
They're playing like a number 25 seed.
That's a good
you
point.
talked about the way they started out. They got drilled by Milwaukee, then they got beat by Memphis, and then they turned it around. Beat New Orleans, beat Minnesota, and beat Chicago to get here into the quarterfinals.
Taking on the defending champs and the top seed. The Lakers had a couple of days off. They played their second round game on Thursday. Jonathan Williams out of Gonzaga scoring for the Lakers.
Jonathan Williams was a do-everything player for Mark Few at Gonzaga.
Off the curl, three ball goes down for Zach Lofton. Shot 38%.
Sorely needed three ball.
Yes.
They need a bunch of those threes.
Talking with some of the Detroit assistants, and there could be a spot in the league for Zach Lofton, who has given Detroit some good minutes. As you get a look at Sean Sweeney, first-year Detroit Pistons assistant coach, the summer league coach here, goes back to Milwaukee and back to your days in Brooklyn.
Yeah, very talented young coach. When I was working with Avery Johnson in New Jersey and then a year in Brooklyn, Sweeney started in our video room, eventually became player development. Jason Kidd took him with him to Milwaukee, did an excellent job there, spending a lot of time working with Giannis Antetokounmpo, helping him to progress. And Dwayne Casey, I think, an excellent hire. Sean Sweeney's going to be a really good coach in this league for a long time.
Hart count it, and the basket. Josh Hart will to start here today. 9 points and a chance for double figures.
We're talking about his ability to shoot it from outside. This is the other thing you talked about. They ask him to work on it, improve on it. He's certainly doing that. That's his left hand, by the way. All the dribble in his shot with his offhand.
Get the MVP chance here if the Lakers can go on and finish this off for a second year in a row.
Oh, he'll run away.
He seems
with
like the obvious choice.
If they win the summer league, he'll run away with the MVP ballot.
10 for Josh Hart. Lakers have opened a 14-point lead. Obi Enechionya is on the floor, wearing number 37 for Detroit. Zach Lofton on the drive. Offensive rebound and putback goes down for Eric Griffin, 28-year-old. But quickly, Svi Mykhailiuk fouled as he got right to the 10.
Well, we talked about Svi not being just a standstill shooter. He can put it on the floor. He can run the floor. You know, going back to that offensive rebound, Eric Griffin was a two-way player last year for Utah and has also played in Israel. So again, this game you see a lot of, if not veterans, maybe the wrong term, but guys that have played a year or two professionally, both in the league, in the G League, and internationally.
Here's Enechionya with a shot from outside, no good. Xavier Rattan-Mays in the lineup for the Lakers. Out of Florida State as Hart comes off the screen and roll, and Williams couldn't fish. Jonathan Williams wanted a big left-handed dunk there.
I'm sure he didn't crack his head down there. He's coming back into the play very slowly.
There we got a 5-on-4 on the other end. Brown from 3, missing. It's tapped out to Rattan Mays. Hart thought about a 3, drives into a double team, fouled that time. Josh Hart off to a hot start here in Vegas. He'll have a chance for 2 more after the timeout. Three more quarterfinal matchups coming up today, all on ESPN2. Starting at 6 Eastern time, the Raptors and Cavaliers. That's our next game up. The unbeaten Portland Trailblazers will take on the Celtics, the Sixers, and the Grizzlies. A couple of, say, 20-something seeds, but Philadelphia was the 30th seed of the 30 teams, and one of those teams will advance into the semifinals tomorrow.
Bunch of, well, you know what happens late in Summer League also, Kesty? I think in LA goes against the grain because they also played in Sacramento. Interestingly enough, they played in the Sacramento, California League this year. First time. They were 0-3. They didn't win a game in Sacramento. They haven't lost a game here. But oftentimes, as Summer League winds down, there's some players that are thinking, you know what? I've played enough here. I'm thinking about getting home, seeing their family, seeing their girlfriend, whatever. And the teams that want to play, that want to continue, and sometimes teams that lose early kind of get reinvigorated. And we got a lot of low seeds have advanced.
Going to look at our former colleague, Miles Simon, who's the Summer League head coach, second-year Laker assistant. Fadeaway shot won't go, rebounded by Eric Griffin. Pistons shooting 3 for 15 to start this game, and make it.
That's why.
3 for 16.
And 3 turnovers on top of that. Lakers haven't turned it over, and they're on fire. They're shooting 63%.
Jeffrey Carroll getting a little run, number 30 in white. On the top of your screen from Oklahoma State. Missed shot there, and Kadeem Carrington out of Seton Hall. There you go, Seton Hall in the house.
I was hoping you were going to say where he's from, Kesty. I was going to jump right in there.
I have a few opportunities here at Summer League. There's a bunch of Pirates that are
exactly. Wow, Kevin
floating
Williams
around the league.
Done a great job there. Kadeem was a really good point guard for them. I think a decent shooter. He can improve his shot a little bit, a little more reliable. Josh Hart hears it from the crowd. Just an excellent start.
12 points for Josh Hart as he heads to the bench. Get a look at Isaac Bonga from Germany, the number 39th overall pick, sitting in the left corner, left side of your screen.
The Pistons are going to make a move. Now would be a good time with Josh sitting on the bench.
True. Here's the lob at the rim and the finish for Jonathan Williams, the high flyer from Gonzaga.
Jonathan Williams plays both ends of the floor. He's a nice basketball player. Don't think there's a spot for him in Los Angeles, but hopefully he's going to get a chance and get looked at.
We saw him a couple years ago, shot 40% from 3. That was way down last year, but he could do this at the rim. Lakers in control.
Definitely been a whirlwind. It's been good, it's been bad. I still have so much to give to the game.
Leaving to a puzzle that has hope. Staying in the Eastern Conference.
I'm not down with staying in the Eastern Conference.
He has 2 places out in LA.
Chris Paul, he's trying to recruit LeBron James to Houston.
The Cavs are still in this, though.
The Lakers have landed LeBron.
The best player in the game is going to be a Laker.
8 straight trips to the NBA Finals, 3 moves, of course, from Cleveland to Miami, back to Cleveland, and now headed west to Los Angeles. And LeBron James watching his Summer League team for the first time here in Vegas.
8 straight was a beyond remarkable accomplishment. None of them were easy. The 9th straight would be a beyond remarkable accomplishment. I don't think right now the roster has enough artillery, and barring injuries, the road to the finals still goes through Houston and, of course, through Oakland.
Well, 35 wins a year ago. They haven't been to the postseason in 5 years. PJ, I'll bring in George Sedano as well. You guys can give me your initial thoughts. As the roster is shaped now, where does this team stack up in a very difficult Western Conference where last year the Denver Nuggets, I think, had 46 wins and didn't make the playoffs? George, I'll start with you.
Well, look, clearly the Warriors are the class of the NBA, so they're the best team in the Western Conference. Right now, I guess you'd give the edge to Houston as the team in the 2 seed, but they've got some question marks too now, right? No Trevor Ariza, no Luke Richard and Mbamute. Who's going to defend on that team? So they've got some question marks, but I would pencil them in at number 2. At number 3, I think you start to get more open. I think Utah can be in that conversation. I had this conversation with Amin Al-Hassan the other day on radio, and he talked about how they're the best defensive team in the league, so they're going to be in that conversation for home court advantage. I think the Lakers are in that realm, right? 3, 4, and that can go all the way to 7, to be quite honest with you.
BJ?
Yeah, I like it going all the way to 7 because their roster right now, I don't think their roster right now is as good as Cleveland last year, the guys he's got playing with. And you got an all-star in Kevin Love. Now, obviously, if they can add another significant piece, I don't think the three-point shooting's nearly as good. I don't slight at all what J.R. Smith accomplished, Tristan Thompson, Kyle Korver, George Hill. There's a lot of very good players that he played with in Cleveland. I don't see that in Los Angeles yet. Yeah, significant additions. I love the Rajon Rondo pickup. I think that's really good. Other than that, I don't see them. If his Cleveland team played his LA team right now, I like his Cleveland team, and I don't see them getting in the top 4 in the West right now. Clearly, they're a work in progress. Clearly, they took how many giant steps forward when LeBron inked it. So I like the potential, but clearly that's what it is potential right now.
4 years and $154 million max deal. Final seconds here of this first quarter. Well, with the King watching, Nick King knocks it off the window and in. Well, of course.
That's the way this quarter should have ended because it's gone that way the entire time. Other than the 2 extra points they missed, this has been all Laker the entire
King
way.
Performs for the King. Lakers, big lead after 1. Welcome back to Las Vegas. Miles Simon and his Summer League Lakers, PJ, just shot 67% from the field in the first quarter.
I'll tell you what I'm more impressed with, Kesty. 10 assists on 14 field goals and no turnovers.
Wow.
That's 10 pretty good minutes, and they're playing defense on the other end. They've limited the Pistons to 26% from the field.
Summer League Miami Heat a few days ago had 29 assists in a game, and that was a record that could be on pace here. Let's take a listen to Miles Simon, wired up.
Hey, that's great work, man. Great work. That's what I'm talking about. That's the energy, that's the effort. You guys are locked in on the defensive end. No letdown now. Now that we made a couple moves, there's no letdown, the intensity. It's what we do down here will lead to easy stuff down there. And I promise you, you keep moving the ball, we'll get great shots.
Down here is obviously the defensive end of the floor, and they're certainly doing that. What a surprise that Mandy Cohen, the producer, would feature Miles Simon. Did they not work together for the worldwide leader?
I believe they did.
Yeah, I think so.
I worked with him at the Big 12 tournament 2 years ago.
I hope we get some.
Of course, we've done hundreds of basketball games
yeah,
together.
Yeah, exactly. I hope we get some Sean Sweeney equal time if Sweens comes up with something creative in a timeout to dig out of a 19-point hole.
There you go. Ask and ye shall receive. There's
there you go, Sweens.
Sean Sweeney trying to coach his Summer League Pistons out of a monumental hole here against the top-seeded Lakers. They find Ellenson under the basket, and he was able to get Isaac Bonga off his feet.
Interesting call, whether they say he gathered and started. Yes, they said he started his upward motion. There would be some chirping in the regular season on that. Henry Ellenson's done a good job sending a message. It's amazing when you make a coaching change. And the fact that Dwayne Casey's there, I don't like that at all. Dwayne Casey, when they set a franchise record and have the #1 record in the East, I think that's terrible that he's not back in Toronto. But new coach sweeps everything clean. So the Detroit players, you know, they're saying, hey, nothing matters what they did in the past. And Henry Ellenson's trying to send a message to Dwayne Casey and the coaching staff.
Dwayne Casey was here in Las Vegas earlier in the Summer League, the reigning coach of the year. You talk about 59 wins and let go in Toronto after 7 years and 320 victories. The top seed in the East last year got swept out by LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in round 2 of the playoffs.
You know, the injuries really hurt Detroit. Stan Van Gundy didn't get a chance to finish what he started. I expect Dwayne to go in there and do very well, and I expect them to take the next step, the Pistons.
Shot from the corner is a deep 2 for Jeff Ayers.
We have enough time to go through Jeff Ayers, who I love. Played for the Blazers, the Pacers, the Spurs, the Clippers, Idaho, and LA, in the G League, in Russia, in Japan, and in Turkey. How's that?
You barely had enough time before that foul there. We'll turn it over to the Lakers, and he's getting these minutes because of Mo Wagner being on the bench with the knee injury, so an important time for Jeff Ayers.
They brought him in for the last game in Sacramento in the earlier summer league. Jeff Ayers has been a good player in this league. He had 10 points and 6 boards the other day in the win against the Clippers to get him into the quarterfinals. He's played well in Las Vegas. That's not a surprise. He's a man playing with young guys in this league.
Right now the ball is just falling the Lakers' way. The 50-50 balls and all as Jeffrey Carroll scores for the Lakers. Pistons kick it outside for Speedy Smith off target. Kenneth Speedy Smith, who played 4 years at Louisiana Tech. Marcus Holland getting some minutes. High shot not there, but King able to finish at the rim.
One of those days when they miss an occasional, a rare shot, the Lakers, they're there with an offensive rebound.
Nick King's a good story, undrafted out of Middle Tennessee, began his career at Memphis. Spent a year at Alabama, had a lung infection.
I was just going to say, Memphis, Alabama, Middle Tennessee.
Yep, went to Middle Tennessee as a grad transfer, so he was able to play automatically and was the Conference USA Player of the Year.
Done a good job here, almost 12 points a game, just under 6 rebounds in the summer league.
And when King scores in front of the King, that just makes the day, as he did at the end of the first quarter. Allenson. Laker fans getting vocal. King was open, opts to drive. Ball out of bounds, last touch by Jeffrey Carroll. It'll go to the Detroit Pistons, who last year fell short in the Eastern Conference playoff race, finished 9th in the East, 39-43.
The crowd, the reason they reacted, Brandon Ingram came over and gave LeBron a hug. And well, he should. He should be hugging him before the game, between quarters, at halftime, between the third and fourth quarter, and after the game.
So one by one, Los Angeles Lakers coming into the building.
With Brandon playing a championship game last year, he missed that also.
Missed that.
He and Lonzo both missed it, and they still won the championship of the Vegas Summer League.
Kyle Kuzma was outstanding in the championship game and the Summer League victory for the Lakers a year ago here in Vegas.
Yeah, he kind of made it clear right here in Las Vegas last year that he was not going to be just another rookie.
And he was another low first-round pick. Turned out to be an outstanding selection. They got him in a draft night trade, and Kuzma ended up scoring 16 points and averaging about 6 rebounds per game as a rookie in Los Angeles.
I'm looking forward to watching him again. I'm repeating myself, but our viewers need to understand it's different when you play on a sub-500 team and you play on a team that has playoff aspirations and is going to be in games against the elite teams night in and night out. As we all know, NBA games often down to the wire, decided in the fourth quarter. So I'm looking forward to watching these young Lakers take that next step and make winning plays. Winning plays are plays that decide games, particularly against the better teams.
Saw Brandon Ingram sitting courtside. LeBron James in the house as Ellenson scores there, and the expectations as well. We know LeBron has some expectations when you play with him as a teammate.
Expectations is a polite word. I think demands is more accurate, and rightfully so.
But this will be the first, well, I don't want to say the first time breaking in with a young squad, because the Cavaliers were young when he came back.
Well, when he started with the Cavaliers.
When he started with the Cavs. But when he went to Miami, he and Wade and Bosh.
100 years ago when I was an assistant in San Antonio back in 07, I mean, he helped take that team to the NBA Finals. You look at that roster, some of the guys he played with. I mean, we were more worried about Boobie Gibson than anybody else in that game.
Charge call on Jeffrey Carroll. Timeout in Las Vegas. WNBA is in full swing. Don't miss a minute of the action. Catch it live by getting your tickets today at WNBA.com/tickets. All kinds of young ladies and young boys in the house, parents, grandparents, fun crowd.
Not just again, they draw extremely well from the community, but Los Angeles and Phoenix in particular, the fans make that trip readily. Enjoy coming over here for Summer League.
Phoenix Suns had a good start to Summer League, but got knocked out in the knockout round. Three-pointer up and in. That's Reggie Hearn, undrafted 5 years ago, and really good shooter.
You and I had Reggie a number of times. We had him playing for Jeff Van Gundy's Team USA, trying to qualify the United States for the World Championships in 2019. An offensive foul, a little bit too aggressive there, Jeffrey Carroll, but Reggie played. We had him, he just got back from playing in Mexico and Cuba. Where did we have him, in Greensboro earlier in the year?
We had him in Greensboro in the first window. Remember the new World Cup qualifying?
They played Puerto Rico and then they played Mexico, won both of those games.
They did not play in the Santa Cruz portion of the first round, and then was involved in the games at Mexico and at Cuba.
And Jeff's team, Van Gundy's team, again, will be back at it in September, playing Uruguay. I believe, I don't know if it's official yet, but I've heard rumblings that it's going to be right here in Las Vegas in September.
I've heard some of those same rumblings. And of course, the national team, they have meetings coming up here with Greg Popovich scheduled in this city.
Pop's got, I think, about 30 players invited in. A lot of them have been here watching. I'm sure Mr. James is on that invitation list also. They'll be practicing here a couple days. I don't know if practice is the right word. They'll have meetings. They'll do a little bit of stuff on the floor for Pop.
It was a defensive 3-second call. Henry Ellenson hit the technical free throw. He's got 10 points, 3 rebounds for the Pistons, and the ball in his hands right now. Detroit trying to get into this game under 5 minutes to go in the half, and Ellenson with the baseline hit.
Nice move, left-hand move. It was well defended. He made a tough shot over Nick King.
Pistons have it down to 13. Alex Caruso, nice ball handling. Hits Nick King on the baseline. Carroll on the drive scores. Jeffrey Carroll was a 4-year player at Oklahoma State.
They're getting to the rim, the Lakers, much too easily. There's been too many layups or finishes or then offensive rebounds as a result of the dribble penetration.
There's Josh Hart coming back into the game for the Lakers. 12 points in the opening quarter and a perfect start. 4 for 4, hit his only 3-point attempt, an assist and a steal as well.
As we talked about in the open, number 3 scorer so far in the Las Vegas Summer League, 22.5 a game.
A little floater from Caruso, doesn't get the roll. Ayers denied by Johnny Hamilton, a 7-footer out of Texas Arlington, who's a good prospect.
But who gets the rebound again? The Lakers.
Late shot clock.
It's the 14-second reset that we're experimenting with here in Las Vegas. It's a good rule. Viewers, if you haven't seen that, when you get an offensive rebound off the rim or a missed free throw off the rim, the offensive team gets it back. They only have 14 seconds, not 24.
I like it. More of a scramble, and
I think it's good.
To be a little more
see whether the competition committee and what Adam Silver and the players decide going forward.
Ellenson passing out to Zach Lofton. He hits a 3, and the Pistons drawing ever closer. Once down by 23 points. They've got it down to 12 on a 15-4 run.
Well, as we said, they started with 2 losses, one of them an embarrassment. Milwaukee beat them 90-63 in the opening game, and have gotten better ever since. Beat New Orleans, beat Minnesota, and then beat Chicago together. Minnesota was the number 8 seed when the Pistons knocked them off.
Nice defensive job by Johnny Hamilton that time on the drive against Caruso.
Again, the way the Summer League works, you play 3 games and then you seed 1 through 30 because all 30 teams were in Las Vegas this year for the Summer League, first time in history. And then so the seedings sometimes are a little bit artificial. But when you get a 25 seed, the Pistons, against the number 1 seed, clearly the Lakers are the favorites.
Well, the Lakers have only lost, if you break it down to quarters, 2 of their 16 quarters here at the Summer League. And right now the Detroit Pistons, who had 14 at the end of 1, have a chance to take a quarter and, more importantly, get even closer here with Henry Ellenson at the line.
Wow, strong veteran presence, guys who have played not just in the Summer League before, but have played in NBA games. So they were expected to do well. I don't understand how they went 0-3 in Sacramento, as a matter of fact. That is surprising to me, but they've certainly got it straightened out since they've arrived in Las Vegas.
Unwound and saved their best stuff for the bright lights of Vegas. 14 points for Ellenson with 3 rebounds. and a couple of assists. Detroit has it down to 10. Even in the Summer League, everybody makes a run. 3:15 to go here in the first half. Caruso using the Ayers screen. Josh Hart, who's had a perfect start to this game, misfiring. And now the Pistons can get it into single digits.
Better defense that time by Reggie Hearn.
Lofton can't get the roll. Out of bounds, last touch by the Lakers. So the Pistons will be on the offensive side trying to whittle this down. Down 10, under 3 minutes to go in the half. Welcome back to Las Vegas, where the Detroit Pistons got into a 23-point hole, and behind Sean Sweeney, their Summer League head coach, have cut it to 10 against the unbeaten and top-seeded Lakers.
Well, they're working at it, and it would be hard to stay as cold as they were the way they started out.
I think LeBron James is joining the festivities and the music. Here as we get set to action. Lakers led 39-16 at the 8:37 mark to go in this second quarter, and the Pistons have scored 17 of the last 21 points, under 5 to shoot. Ellenson defended by Mikhailuk. Missed the shot. Nice job by Svi that time.
Good defense. That was a tough shot.
And on the other end, Svi, Mikhailuk finishing at the rim.
Beautiful fast break by the Lakers. The rebound, outlet pass. Josh Hart handling. Svi finishing. Not Svi for 3, only 2.
Svi, the 47th overall pick in the draft 3 weeks ago. He's got 9 points. Started his professional career in Ukraine at the age of 15. As Alex Caruso bodies up. Bruce Brown, no call there, and it's going the other way to Los Angeles. In fact, Svi arrived in Lawrence at the age of 17 as a freshman at Kansas.
I'll tell you, he was a solid player. Devontae Graham also, talk about Bill Self being here. Bill Self had almost as many players as Cal. I mean, he was going from back and forth between Cox Pavilion and Thomas and Mack right here, watching all this. Devontae Graham did a really good job for Charlotte before they had to send him back to get looked at by the doctors.
We're going to see a guy in the next game who didn't get to play, but Billy Hamilton was on the Kansas roster last year and was ineligible and never got to play. But so many good Kansas guys, and Malik Newman,
Svi's teammate right here with the Lakers,
who was outstanding late in the season, Big 12 tournament and the NCAA tournament.
And if I'm not mistaken, Malik has signed a 2-way contract for the Lakers this year. So we'll see him both in Los Angeles and, of course, for the South Bay Lakers, their G League affiliate.
Zach Lofton, nice job on the left side. 13 points for Zach Lofton off the bench, part of this Pistons comeback with 90 seconds to go, but they haven't been able to stop Josh Hart, and that time Ayers again cleaning up a miss. Every team needs a guy like Jeff Ayers. No plays run for him, seems to find his points. Hustles, physical, 6 points, 5 rebounds. As we listen to both coaches wired up here today for us.
Hey, great work, man. Great work. Keep attacking down there.
Keep trying to make easy plays. I think the more we get it in the paint, but then make a good decision, the better off we're going to be.
Keep attacking. That's a great job, Jeff. It's a great job. Hey, let's go, man. Keep getting stopped.
Well, excellent message. Keep it easy. That last fast break run by the Lakers, it was simple. It was an outlet pass. Josh Hart stopped at the free throw line. Here we go. Bounce pass with 2 hands. Svi for the finish. Our young guys and gals watching at home, you don't need the French pastry. Keep it simple. Doesn't matter whether it's the NBA, grammar school, high school.
Bringing George Sedano more on Josh Hart in his outstanding summer league.
Yeah, he may be the early favorite for MVP, guys. Not only is he putting up 23 points a game, but he's taken on the toughest defensive assignment night in and night out here through the 5 games at Summer League. Today he was on Bruce Brown Jr. of the Detroit Pistons, their second pick. And, you know, you look at the Villanova guys in general, PJ, as you could attest, man, they are NBA ready. And you'll see that with Mikal Bridges. We saw some of that, glimpses of him this Summer League as well. And they feel like in Phoenix that he's a guy that can contribute right away. Josh Hart being one of those guys. Jay Wright does it right, man.
He certainly does, George. There's no question about that. Josh Hart is a typical Villanova player. By that I mean he plays both ends of the floor. He's simple, he's effective, he shoots the ball, he passes it well. They play together, they play hard. Jay's got an excellent coaching staff. His assistants were out here visiting with all their players. So they've been on an unbelievable run at Villanova. They got wiped out this year. Half the team's going to be playing in the NBA. Be interesting to see whether they can maintain that prominence in the Big East Conference.
4 guys drafted. We had a Lakers foul on Caruso that put LA over the limit, so Henry Ellenson will shoot the free throws. Josh Hart is the 3rd leading scorer in the Summer League at 22.5 points per game. Already has 14 this afternoon. John Collins in limited action played 3 games, 24 points per game, and Malik Monk, before he broke his thumb, had the 23-point game.
John Collins played really well. Malik played, what, 1 game? 1 game. So, I mean, Josh is number 3, but Josh played games, so that's a big difference.
His 5th game here at the Summer League. Brown tried to dish it underneath to Eric Griffin. Turnover Pistons. Svi, 2-hand stuff.
I was just going to say, Kesty, Detroit really needs a good last minute to get this under 10, and instead they've gone the other way. Sean Sweeney said keep it simple, make simple plays. They've not done that. They need a bucket here this last possession, and they need to stop if LA gets a short possession at the wire.
Pistons had it down to 10, but 8 straight points for the Lakers. 3 to shoot. 8 fast break points for the Lakers on that speed jam. 8-0 in favor of fast break points.
Yeah, there's the stop that they needed. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately for the Lakers because they stopped the clock to get the clock right. I guess that's good news, but now they got time to set up a long pass. I'm sure I would think they're going to try and Jonathan Williams get the ball out near half court or get it to Caruso so we can bust it up the floor.
4 seconds to go as Caruso hits half court, gets a screen. Good look and a foul. How about a 4-point play with 1/10 of a second to go in the half? LeBron James loving it.
Well, I'll tell you, that's bad luck. Referees stop it. They want to get it right. Gives the Lakers time to set up. That's not a good call. His hand was just straight up in the air. But good play by Caruso. I'm sorry, I don't think that's a foul, but talking about a horrible way to finish the half for the Pistons and Sean Sweeney.
Now as Caruso will have a chance at the 4-point play, make it a 15-point game if he hits here. Now the Pistons will just inbound to end the half. Josh Hart with 14 points for the LA Lakers. Henry Ellenson with 15 points for the Detroit Pistons. But Hart and the Lakers up 15 at the half. Welcome back to the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League quarterfinal day here in Las Vegas. And at the half, the Lakers, the top seed, unbeaten, up 15 over the Detroit Pistons. Josh Hart continuing his outstanding Summer League in the first half, PJ.
Well, he's doing a little bit of everything. He's knocking down shots from outside. He's 1 for 2 from 3. He's going coast to coast, leading the break. 5 for 7 from downtown. How about a steal? That's sweet. I'm going to finish the break right there. He takes the contact and finishes. He's also done a good job moving the ball. I mean, he's filled the stat sheet. He's got 3 assists to go with his 14 points, a pair of steals, but the only thing he doesn't have is a turnover, and that's a good thing not to have.
That's a good thing. He and Svi Mykhailiuk, both 5 of 7. Lakers shooting 53% in the first half. 15 assists on the 24 makes. Miami Heat had 29 assists, a Summer League record a few days ago, so they are on pace.
55 points and only 4 turnovers. That's pretty efficient basketball for Miles Simon and his group.
The Lakers had jumped out to a 23-point lead with about 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. Pistons made their first run to get it down to 10. Mykhailiuk unable to finish on that drive to the basket in nice speed.
That would have been another assisted basket.
Missing is Bruce Brown, and here comes Mykhailiuk leading it up court for the 4-0 Lakers. Beat the Sixers, the Bulls, and the Knicks in preliminary play. Knocked off the Clippers After getting the bye and a block at the rim by Johnny Hamilton, earning a second-half start from Sean Sweeney.
He's done a good job. He was a shot blocker in college, and he's doing the same here in Las Vegas.
First 2 years played at Virginia Tech, and the 7-footer played his last year at Texas Arlington.
77 blocks his senior year at UT Arlington.
Sean Sweeney was telling us he can run like a deer. And there you just saw him flying in. Basket interference on Johnny Hamilton that time.
Yeah, he didn't play much in the early games, and Sean Sweeney told us he used him a lot in the win over Chicago that got them here to the quarterfinals. Sweens.
Alex Caruso will bring it up for the Lakers, who got the crowd going, energized with Josh Hart. LeBron James just moments before tip entered the building and electrified it even more.
Amen.
Looking for a little start here in the second half, but the Pistons.
Neither team has scored yet.
Yeah. 90 seconds into this third quarter. At the rim, not there. Hamilton couldn't finish. They've had their opportunities. Here's Hart splitting a double team deep to score.
I was going to say Josh Hart had about 10 by this time in the first quarter. He restored order for the Lakers.
16 points for Josh Hart. Winner of this game will face either the Cavaliers or the Raptors, which come up in our next game.
Reggie Hearn, our very capable player for Jeff Van Gundy's USA team, and a two-way player last year for the Pistons.
And he's really worked hard in his pro career coming out of Northwestern, where he walked on when he first got to Northwestern. He's going to get up slowly here.
That was a contested shot. That's a tough shot right there. Going back to Reggie Hearn, played in Reno and Grand Rapids last year.
Kenneth Speedy Smith at the controls right now. At Louisiana Tech, goes to Ellenson, missing on the three. Tip to Hearn, who scores. Again, Johnny Hamilton getting in the middle of the action.
Yeah, Hamilton keeps it alive. Reggie Hearn, look what I found.
3 Pistons back this time, forces Josh Hart into a fadeaway and a miss. And Reggie Hearn will bring it up. Signed a two-way with the Detroit Pistons last January. And an offensive foul is going to go against Detroit and Reggie Hearn. Actually, the foul's going to be on Johnny Hamilton.
They called it on Johnny.
Yep.
The favorite foul of the NBA. No different in G League. G League officials or in Summer League screening, improper screening the offensive foul. They've really cut that back. I mean, for what you used to be able to get allowed to do, and now, and I think it's good. It may even have swung too far the other way.
Alex Caruso was looking to fire one toward the rim, was deflected by Bruce Brown.
We talked about Bruce Brown's defense. That's what he is, an active defender.
So is Josh Hart getting in the middle of that one. The Summer League quarterfinals continue tonight here in Las Vegas on ESPN2. The other 3 quarterfinals, Toronto and Cleveland up next. And then Portland versus the Celtics. Portland a 4-0 record like the Lakers. Sixers and Grizzlies will round it off later tonight starting at 10 Eastern time.
We had the King, LeBron, come in for this game. We have Mr. Big Shot going to grace us with his presence for the final 2 games, Chauncey Billups.
They had quite a battle when the young Cavaliers in the first time with LeBron, his first tour through, when the Pistons were reigning the Eastern Conference.
I'm talking about offensive fouls. Had they called offensive fouls, then Bill Laimbeer would have the record. And he's doing a great job right here with the Aces in the WNBA. They've been on a hot streak recently. He's done a good job. But I'll tell you what, if they were calling offensive fouls the way they're calling them now, he would have had a very short career.
Well, the Pistons, of course, had the Bad Boys era, and then the
aptly named Bad Boys.
Early 2000s, Billups and Ben Wallace and Rip Hamilton. As you mentioned, Chauncey Billups will be on the call with Mark Jones and George Sedano for the final 2 quarterfinals later.
Yeah, incredible. We had Rip on early, and it was funny because I kidded him. He came out, and obviously didn't have his mask on. He looked a little different. You're so used to seeing him, but sitting down there baseline by the Detroit bench, Mike Abdenauer, the longtime trainer of the Pistons who would carry it out before it started, and Rip would run over to Mike and get it. And there's Mike right now, great trainer. Brother Tommy was my trainer for 3 years at Golden State. The two of them, two of the best trainers in the league for a long time. But Mike was also the keeper of Rip's mask.
Timeout here in Las Vegas. Lakers still up 15. Back in Vegas, little sky cam view over the court as the Lakers up 15, the lead they had at halftime over the Detroit Pistons.
I gotta make a move. Let's make it right now, Pistons.
Pistons being led by Henry Ellenson's 15 points. Zach Lofton, 13 off the bench, most of it coming in the first half, and out of the timeout, unable to cash in. Josh Hart, little stutter step, steps back, off target, rebound Hamilton.
Strong rebound, Johnny Hamilton.
There'll be a spot in him for the league somewhere. Don't know where, don't know if it's this year. Don't know if the Pistons will be able to grab him with their roster situation as far as developing him down the future, but
yeah,
looks like a guy who could do something.
Yeah, he's impressed Sean Sweeney, and as we talked about before, Sean Sweeney is a very good coach. He's got a good eye. He was started in the video room like a lot of talented coaches in this league have done, but then he spent a lot of time player development. He really did a good job with player development. I mentioned how much time he spent with Giannis in Milwaukee, and Sweens likes him. He thinks the future is very bright for that young man.
Josh Hart and the Lakers only 5 points scored in the second half, but the Pistons have the same 5. Ayers waiting patiently. Foul called will get him to the free throw line.
Zach Lofton quietly has 13 points, 5 for 9 from the field, 3 for 4 from downtown, 5 boards. Really nice all-around game for Zach.
Ayers with 6 points and 9 rebounds. When you look at the Pistons, PJ, obviously Blake Griffin was only there for 25 games after the trade from Los Angeles. Andre Drummond led the league in rebounding. Reggie Jackson is getting healthy, and then they brought in these guys, Zaza Pachulia just today.
Two veteran guys clearly there for their leadership. Jose Calderon spent time in Toronto, of course, with Dwayne Casey. Zaza, I think, to mentor the young guys and give them quality minutes. I like him. I like the additions. Glenn Robinson, of course, the other end of the spectrum right there. But again, we talk about new coach. Look out. Got to finish that. Heck of a drive, Bruce Brown, but you got to finish it.
Lakers three-pointers that were going down so quickly in the first half aren't, but that time it was Jonathan Williams able to finish it underneath.
Jonathan Williams has been climbing on the glass the entire game. He's done a really good job. That's his 3rd offensive rebound. But talking about Detroit, they never really had a chance to get together last year. Now you got a new coach on top of that and some new players. And I think that, you know, given a year to play together, Speed showing his wares, given a year for this team to play together, I expect the Pistons to be a lot better this season.
Speed, that's a real Euro step.
Exactly.
Coming from Ukraine, 16 points and into your living room. Timeout. Lakers fans enjoying their time here in Vegas and watching their Summer League team, and we've got 3 more quarterfinals coming up over on ESPN2 at 6 Eastern. Toronto will take on the Cavaliers, Celtics and Trailblazers, Sixers and Grizzlies, all from the Thomas and Mack Center. Wonder if LeBron's going to hang out to see his former franchise and Summer League team as the Cavaliers are on deck.
I would think that's a negative.
We'll keep an eye on it for you.
But I don't know.
Zach Lofton, who you just sung his praises, coming up with 2 more for Detroit.
He's playing very well. LeBron's made a career of proving me wrong, so clearly he could stay in the house.
15 points, 5 rebounds for Lofton. Kyler just looks smooth, and we've talked all about his spot-up shooting and his catch and shoot, but his ability to create his own shot and put the ball on the deck and defend.
He was 5 for 7 at the half. He seems like he's getting shots off here in the second half. Steve LeBeau, a bunch of shots for Steve already here in the second half.
Off the inbound into Jonathan Williams. Hart coming off a screen, and it's an illegal screen from Jeff Ayers.
I'm just going to call that the favorite call. Another. Steve just stuck him out a little bit.
You cannot move anymore.
I'll tell you what.
On those screens.
Svi took 7 shots. Steve LeBeau, our great statistician, comes up with it. 7 shots in the first half. He's 2 for 8 already in the second half. He's gotten a lot more aggressive. He came out shooting.
There's Jeff Ayers, who will head to the bench.
I don't think it's going to come into play, but one big difference here in the playoff brackets, 10 fouls in the first 3 games. You're allowed 10 fouls before you foul out. In the playoffs, it's back to the NBA norm, 6, and you exit the game.
Henry Ellenson will get his way to the line. We talked about the Detroit Pistons before the break and looking at a club that won 39 games a year ago.
Well, basically without Reggie Jackson.
Without
Reggie wasn't
Jackson,
there.
Yeah, he only played 45 games
Blake
last year.
comes late in the year, so they don't get a chance to play together. Injuries were a major issue for Stan Van Gundy and his team. And, you know, we said slightly different roster. We saw the triumvirate, Calderon and Zaza and Glenn Robinson III coming in. But I just think it's more a year together plus a year now with the new coach. That's going to take time also. But in the Eastern Conference, and the gentleman seated to our right is no longer living in Cleveland. So the Eastern Conference has a slightly different landscape than it has.
And with Dwayne Casey, that new coach, if you're Coach Casey, how do you best use Blake and all the skills that he provides?
Well, I think, you know, look at all the things he does. He was shooting more threes in Detroit, and I think that's good, you know, for a player like Blake to show that, the elbow jump shot, even going out and taking some threes. But I'll tell you what, I don't see too many people who are capable of dealing with Blake. So I'd like to see Dwayne, you know, whether it's pick and rolls or whatever they're doing inside. There's not going to be a lot of room around that basket with Andre Drummond, but I'd like to see those 2 guys whip it up on people. We talked about the Detroit teams of the past. I know the league's going small, but when you got 2 guys as strong and talented and as good rebounders as Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin, I don't want him too far from the rim.
Blake came over late January in the trade from the Clippers. George Sedano, how do you see them blending it all in under new head coach Dwayne Casey?
I think they could play well together. Blake's used to playing with a big man who's a great lob artist at the rim, and Andre certainly provides that, and he provides great rebounding, much like DeAndre provided for Blake. I just want to see Blake handle the ball more. If you remember a couple of years ago when Chris Paul went out late in the season, Blake became an MVP candidate. I think that was 3 or 4 seasons ago now, and he was amazing when he had the ball in his hands, and he's a guy that I think is slightly underrated when it comes to ball handling and getting other guys involved. I'd like to see more of that with the Detroit Pistons this year.
Well, your point about playing with DeAndre Jordan is a great point. He played with arguably 2 of the best, if not the 2 best rebounders in the league, DeAndre Jordan, and now he comes in with Andre Drummond. That's a good point. Blake is a very talented player. He can handle the ball. He can do a lot of things, but he can also break people in half. And I want to see him in there taking it to the rim, doing some damage inside. Look at the numbers, these guys right there.
Andre Drummond's rebound numbers went up
after they played together.
Yeah, after Blake arrived, those 25 games together.
6 assists for Blake, reflecting exactly what George Sedano was talking about.
Talked about Blake and Drummond and Jackson. Don't forget Stanley Johnson, young player. Luke Kennard not playing here in the Summer League.
I think they got to get a little more out of Stanley. I think he's going to be a very important player for them, what he's going to be able to bring to the table for Dwayne Casey.
Luke Kennard got injured in the first practice before Summer League with a strained knee, so he's not been able to play here. Ish Smith also rounding out that roster, and Reggie Bullock, depending on what happens today, right? His contract
Reggie's contract, it rolls over if they do not act upon it today, and the fact they haven't, I would expect them. I don't know. Ed Stefanski is the special advisor. There's Luke Kennard sitting on the bench. Eddie Stefanski now special advisor to owner Tom Gores, and they still don't have a GM in place. Dwayne Casey, I'm sure, has a lot to say as they're putting this roster together right now.
Pistons right now about to fall down 19 points. Josh Hart leading the way with 18 points, also has 4 assists for the Lakers. 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter of this quarterfinal matchup.
Henry Ellenson with a deep shot. He's got 11 free throws already. He's 10 for 11. The Lakers just went past him. They were 8 for 10 before Nick King got to the free throw line.
Nick King lost the ball, but the bounces go in the way of the Lakers. Here's Josh Hart with 10 to shoot. He's going to take on Ellenson.
Mismatch inside. If you call Josh Hart guarding Ellenson a mismatch, certainly a size mismatch.
Zach Lofton stripped on his way to the rim, out of bounds. Pistons keep it with 11 to shoot.
I like the former all-WAC player from New Mexico State, Zach Lofton, off what he's done today, averaging just under 9 points a game in the summer league.
He played in 6 years in 5 different schools. Started at a junior college, was at Illinois State. Lofton missing there.
Well, we'll have Billy Preston in the next game at 4 high schools. That's right. Getting pretty commonplace right now. Guys come out and you're the one and dones. You're asking where they went to high school. It's normally 2 or 3 at least.
Lofton went from Illinois State to Minnesota as Hart gets back to the line. He was dismissed at Minnesota before he played a game, and Zach Lofton went to Texas Southern from there, where he was a player of the year, as you mentioned, in the SWAC, and then ended up at New Mexico State as a graduate student. There you go. There's all the schools that he played for, and averaged 20 points a game. Really good athlete, and has a chance to make somebody's camp if it's not Detroit.
I like what I've seen. We're talking about the high schools. Finley Prep, of course, here in Las Vegas is the home to many of them, particularly the Canadian players who came down from Canada. Tristan Thompson was here watching his Cavs. I don't know if he's still in town. If he is, we'll see him later today. But Tristan, of course, went to Finley.
I was going to say it was Hart's first free throw miss of the day, but he'll get another chance here on the lane violation.
Wipe it away. So much for that miss.
Yeah, get more and more good prospects coming out of Las Vegas. Bishop Gorman also here. And
oh yeah, no question. It's been a real talent. Well, I tell you, over the years, all the talent. But now Finley Prep, the guys are coming in from all over the place, specifically Canada. But so many of the players have done a good job playing there. We almost had Svi Mikhailuk sitting in our lap. Henry Ellenson underneath the table.
I think I'd pick Svi over Ellenson if a big body has to crash into him.
I was just about ready to bail on you, leave you and Steve LeBeau there to handle the table.
Ellenson at
do without an analyst. We can't do without a play-by-play. So
I don't know about that. And we got George.
There's Steve. He was safe because he's 2 seats down right there.
The more Syracuse guys we can get.
And get it dry. We'll make sure, Ray, make sure we get that floor dry. We don't want anybody else coming in here.
Ray Acosta, one of our 3 officials. There he goes, handing it in to Nick King. Final 2 minutes of the third quarter. Xavier Rattan-Mays, undrafted out of Florida State. King looking for Hart, couldn't get it there. Mikhailuk will get himself to the free throw line, fouled by Obi Enechionia.
I have to think that Miles Simon or someone in the Lakers said to Svi, we want to see you be more aggressive. We want to see you taking the ball to the basket, because he's looking for every opportunity, not selfishly because he's attacking the rim, but I mean noticeably different than even in the first half.
Signed a 3-year deal with the Lakers, $4.5 million. Playing for Miles Simon on the Summer League team.
Different product when you get a guy, a 3- or 4-year player, particularly someone who's played for a coach like Bill Self, more ready to step in and play. You combine that with the international experience. Players come over, internationally, have oftentimes played for club teams and basically have been playing professional basketball since they're 15 or 16 years old.
6 feet 8 inches, and indeed he was 15 when he played in his home country of Ukraine.
And we're bragging on him. He got beat. Turned his head right there, got beat along the baseline, and a good entry pass.
By Zach Lofton, who has 17 points for the Pistons. Hart behind the back to King. Pistons trying to dig out of this hole.
3 touchdowns.
Down 21 with a minute to go here in the third. On the hands of Zach Lofton with 8 to shoot. Lakers commit first in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, they were hooked up inside. It was, well called. It was that Ray Acosta, the official, who made the call, because they were banging on each other. Eric Griffin for the Pistons and Jeffrey Carroll for the Lakers were hooked up as often happens, one arm underneath the other, and then they're just wrestling. It just depends on what they're going to call. That hand is for Josh Hart. Interesting to see whether Miles rests him the rest of the way or brings him back in the fourth quarter.
Pistons, Zach Lofton, add 2 more to his ledger. 43 seconds to go here in the third quarter. 19 points for Lofton, and a Detroit foul with 39.5 will mean free throws.
Zach Lofton respectfully disagrees with that call.
Would you rest him? I had heard, or at least read stories, he was only going to play 1 game in the Summer League in Sacramento and only 1 game here in Las Vegas. He's played the entire way so far, and he's a guy who's shown you just about everything you want to see, right?
Yes, but he wants to play. Was that? I know that wasn't George Sedano that told you he was only going to play 1, because George would be on it. He's got everything in LA under control, but it seems like he's going to play, and they want to win the championship. You got this far. Wouldn't surprise me. Miles keeps them out the rest of the way. They got a couple more games if they want to win this thing, and they're playing back-to-back, playing every day. Even in the NBA, you don't play 3 days in a row.
Miles Simon team, because of them being the 1 seed. The top 2 seeds with the 30-team bracket this year for the first time had byes. And so both those teams played on Thursday. Josh Hart had 20.6 rebounds in that win over the Clippers. That gave them some extra time, couple of days to get ready for the quarterfinals.
Yeah, but again, being the number 1 seed, the bye, only 4 games so far. That's a big difference. But they did play the 3 extra games. There's Kobe Carl, George's son, the G League coach of the South Bay Lakers, a very talented, was a good player, but a very talented young coach. I'm sure Kobe, Mark Madsen also sitting on the bench. They'll get together with Miles, and this is the time when the assistant's going, we're up a couple touchdowns, 3 of them right now. We don't need to put Josh back in the game, so we'll see whether he does get back on the floor. A lot could depend on whether the Pistons have another run in him.
Final 20 seconds of the third quarter. It's about 5 seconds difference on the shot clock.
George was here earlier in Summer League. We had him as a guest.
We'll see George and Kobe together. Van May's pass tipped away. Speedy Smith misses at the rim. And basket interference called against the Pistons.
Obi Enichionia, I'll try it once, did a good job with the block. Speedy's got to finish that.
From about 55 feet, the miss. Josh Hart with 18 points, but Svi Mikhailuk with 19. Lakers up big after 3. LeBron James here in Las Vegas today, arriving at the Thomas and Mack Center just moments before tip. Brandon Ingram with a hug. I know that guy. PJ Carlesimo saying hi. Our Mark Jackson as well. Miles Simon, Summer League coach, and they'll be together. Miles, an assistant here with the Lakers, and LeBron James having a fun time wearing those Lakers shorts.
He's also enjoying time off. He played in, count them, 104 games. All 82 in the regular season. Obviously, all 22 in the postseason.
I like how Tristan Thompson told George Sedano yesterday. Perfect attendance, George, I believe, is how he phrased it. Why do you suspect in the end, George, that LeBron James ended up choosing the Lakers?
Well, I think a lot of it boils down to this. I think LeBron lacked structure as far as, not him individually, I'm talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers may have lacked some structure. And I think he felt that there was some familiarity with him, with the Lakers and Magic Johnson, because, you know, Magic is a Pat Riley disciple, and Magic was on my radio show, Keyshawn, George, and LZ on ESPN LA 710.
Nicely done.
18 months ago when he took the job, and I asked him the question, hey, did you pick anybody's brain before you took the gig? And he actually said, I spent a week with Pat Riley and just talked to him about everything from dealing with the front office, managing the front office, player development, you know, nutrition, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And LeBron thrived in Miami under Pat Riley's boot camp or military school, as I like to call it. But I think at some point it just kind of rubs guys the wrong way. Not everybody is ready for that. He did try to implement some of that in Cleveland when he went there, but I think there's that. There's just a sense of familiarity and trust with Magic Johnson. And beyond that, I think that Magic is probably one of the few people that can empathize with LeBron. He's been in LeBron's shoes. He knows what it's like to be the greatest player in the world. And I think that stuff, I think there's the business acumen and even the civic duties for Magic Johnson, all are things that LeBron and him could see eye to eye on. I think that's a big reason as to why LeBron chose the Lakers.
And PJ, as we look at LeBron checking out the box score right now, you know he's going through his mind right now. The guys he knows will be on the roster, like a few guys here, including Josh Hart, and thinking about, and has been since he told his agent to go ahead and sign on for the 4 years, of how this is all going to work. We know he's usually a couple steps ahead of the rest of us, and he's already planning this in his head before training camp begins at the end of September.
Well, there's no question that he will be, I said before, Eddie Stefanski has the title special advisor to Tom Gores. I guarantee you LeBron has the title special advisor to Magic and Rob Pelinka also. There's only 3 of his teammates out here right now. Josh Hart, Svi Mikhailuk, and Mo Wagner, who's not playing on the bench. He liked a lot of things about LA. I don't know. I did not ask him. I don't know what he wanted to, but I mean, let's be realistic. He was in Cleveland and he decided to go to Miami. He was in Miami, decided to go back to Cleveland. He was in Cleveland again and decided to go to LA. So he's changed his mind a number of times. For whatever reasons he's in LA, it's great for the Lakers. That's great for the league. He's made it a lot tougher to win championships, and I know he wants to win championships, but he's made that a lot tougher depending on who else they can surround him with, and that's going to be on Magic and Rob Pelinka and the players that are available, free agents, be it now or be it in the very near future, who want to play with LeBron James.
Well, they should have cap space for a max free agent for next year, and that's something they're going to keep their eyes on.
And certainly, if somehow, some way, Kawhi ends up there,
right,
now you're talking a very, very strong nucleus, and then the young guys will fit into place when you got 2 of the absolute best players in the league together.
It's interesting you mentioned that, PJ, because the Lakers do have some assets, certainly. You look at some of the guys on that roster, Brandon Ingram, who's here today, Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, who we're seeing here. Those are guys that other teams are going to covet, whether it's Kawhi Leonard in a trade or potentially another superstar that could come available. They've got assets that they can use to acquire another star beyond just the cap space.
And I think they have to do that. As talented as these young guys are, and I know LA wants to get back to where we're used to them being, which is dominant year in and year out, you're going to have to give up. I think you need to give up some of the assets while you have LeBron James. I mean, this was one of his best years ever. What he did this year was remarkable, but he still is getting up there. And if you get a chance to get a guy like Kawhi, and again, not everybody wants to go there. Paul George was out there this year. Not everybody wants to go, wants to be in LA. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The one thing that surprised me, it's a lot harder, I believe, to win an NBA championship if you play in the Western Conference than it is if you're in the Eastern Conference. Because if you're in the Eastern Conference, you get a chance to get to finals like LeBron just did 8 straight times.
Exactly, and in a year where they finished 4th in the East and weren't even predicted to get to the finals. Got by the top team and then on the road in a Game 7.
Win 2 Game 7s, 1 at home.
Beat Indiana
incredible.
at home. Beat Boston on the road, now going to the rugged West.
I also think, George, that he wants to be on that radio show. I think he wanted to be near you. He wanted to do that radio show more than you had him with the time difference in Cleveland.
Well, the interesting thing is I've won the LeBron lottery twice as a media member. I had him
you were
in Miami.
Yeah.
Could just be follow George.
Maybe he said,
go East, young man, go West, young man. Go where George goes.
Yeah, I was in Miami. He came. Then I moved to L.A. He's now in L.A. Maybe there is something to that, PJ. You never know.
I'm with you.
Slick move by Xavier Rattan-Mays, who a few minutes ago was called for a technical foul, was jawing with the officials.
Xavier's name almost doesn't fit on his back. I love the new Nike uniforms. I mean, instead of reversible practice jerseys here now, Nike, of course, who makes the uniforms now for the NBA. These are beautiful uniforms, and they've got, which really helps my old eyes, gigantic numbers and names on the back.
That's right. There's no arc on the names like it is across the shoulders.
Yeah, thank you. No vertical arch.
Here's my
nice
question
defense.
LeBron going from Cleveland to LA. Does that mean our friend Dave McMenamin now has to pack the house and look to move?
Well, Windy, that's Windy. It should have been a foreshadowing. When Windy went out to Nebraska, we should have realized he was one step away from going all the way west, and Dave's certainly going the same way.
Went from LA to Cleveland and maybe back. Henry Ellenson had missed his last 10 until then. Or Detroit had missed its last 10 three-pointers until Ellenson knocked out that three. It's a 20-point game here with 5:20 to go in this quarterfinal matchup.
You talk to Warren Legary. I don't want to be disrespectful. However, in the playoff brackets, maybe a mercy rule.
We'll talk about that after the break. 5:16 to go. Lakers would like it. Look at those LeBron James shirts here in Vegas. Young girl trying to get LeBron's attention as the newest Los Angeles Laker takes in his Summer League Lakers team. Been here from the start. Got 5:16 to go. See if he stays for the finish and an advance to the semifinals.
Well, they're gold shorts. I'm used to seeing him in gold shorts, but not that shade. It looks a little different.
Well, I think right after word came out and it had become official, the Lakers jerseys and t-shirts that were printed were already flying off the store shelves. Clippers, of course, had dominated the competitive NBA headlines the last few years in LA, but the Lakers trying to get back, I guess I'd say, to their rightful place. I don't know if the Clippers want to hear that, but the Lakers with all their rich history.
I don't know if it's rightful, but it's where we're accustomed to them being.
That's a better way to put it. Foul and one. Rattan Mays headed to the line.
It's one-on-one playground. I don't see the foul. One-on-one playground, but he got it done.
Beautiful move to get Reggie Hearn off balance and then take him to the rim. Mo Wagner enjoying that one.
Yeah, I'm sure it's eating Mo Wagner up to not be able to play here. I'm sure he's really looking forward to this. What a job he did for John Beilein.
From Berlin, Germany, left after his junior year at Michigan, averaged almost 15 points and 7 rebounds per game. Bruised his knee on Tuesday, been sitting out. There's a foul on a basket for Bruce Brown, the 42nd overall draft selection this year.
Left knee contusion. Sounds better. Doesn't mean it wasn't real bad.
It looks worse than it sounds. Bruce Brown, three-point play, physical 5'9" point guard. Here's who's on the floor, including Jeffrey Carroll, missing on a three-point attempt.
Dribbled in, and he said, no one's guarding me, I might as well shoot it. The decision was a good decision. Execution was somewhat lacking.
Pistons did not have a first-round pick in this year's draft 3 weeks ago as Hearn misses on the three. We told you about Bruce Brown, who was selected 42nd. They also acquired Kyrie Thomas out of Creighton, who was selected 38th by Philadelphia, and he's a good-looking prospect who's not playing with a hamstring injury.
Well, some similarities with he and Bruce Brown. He was two-time Big East co-defensive player of the year his junior year, outright defensive player of the year his senior year, second-team All-Big East player. He was a heck of a player for Greg McDermott at Creighton, a competitor and an excellent defender again. Dwayne Casey likes defenders, so I think he's going to like both Kyrie Thomas and Bruce Brown.
There were some really good college defenders coming out of the Big East this year. Kyrie Thomas was one of them. Thinking of Gary Clark, who was at Cincinnati.
No question. For years, that's kind of been the trademark of the Big East Conference. Physicality and defense.
As you say, and I believe it because you lived it for a long time.
Well, it's funny, we had Jaren Jackson Jr. last night doing his game, and Jaren Sr. was in the crowd, and they were talking about, his NBA career, which I coached against him a bunch in the NBA. I still had bad memories of coaching against him when he was at Georgetown.
Yeah. Well, when that 30 for 30 on the Big East, the requiem of the Big East comes up, I have to watch it every time, no matter where I get it. First 5 seconds, last 5 seconds. Brown missing there.
Well, that group in general, I'll tell you what, 30 for 30s. I mean, a week doesn't go by. You don't run into somebody that talks about one they like. I mean, I don't know how many 30 for 30s we did, but we did a ton of them. When I say we, saying ESPN, we did a ton of them extremely well, and they've really been popular.
Carroll missing from straight on. The O.J. Simpson series, right? That was a
exactly
award winner. Got a lot of awards for the 30 for 30s. I love them when I know the subject because I find out stuff I didn't know, and then if I have no idea about something, just fascinating.
And short listen.
Ellenson off the window, not there.
Obi
Echionia, 6'9", undrafted player from Temple University. Three-pointer, Jeffrey Carroll.
Well, you knew he was going to get it right. That's three. Was it 3 possessions in a row or 3 out of 4? One of them had to go down.
Pistons call the timeout. The Lakers 2:47 away from a trip to the semifinals.
Everybody's got to come rebound. If we rebound, we're going to be able to go the other way. Just make sure you make good decisions and finish, okay?
Hey, we had a 20-point lead. 3 minutes left to close it out. All down here. All down here, and then, hey, we got to keep attacking the paint. Keep attacking, keep attacking. Let's go.
I should clarify when Sean Sweeney said everybody go to the boards. He didn't just mean the 5 guys on the floor. He meant the 10 guys on the bench also, because that's what they need to do if they're going to get back in this game.
And on the other end, Miles Simon trying to keep them reminded they had a 23-point lead that was cut to 10. It's a big lead, and at that point, just keep them engaged here in the game and keep this big lead, which they have with 2:20 to go. Miles looking to go to 5-0 as the Summer League head coach of the Lakers. Get to the semifinals for the 2nd straight year as Isaac Bonga from Germany missing that time.
I think that was intentionally off glass. Kyle Washington's shot that preceded that for Detroit didn't draw glass or iron.
Bonga that time defending Hamilton into a turnover. The Detroit Pistons with 15 turnovers this afternoon. Lost their first 2 Summer League games. Won 3 straight. Here's a look at Malik Newman. As a 2-way contract, was the Big 12's newcomer of the year last year at Kansas.
Did he explode in the NCAAs?
He did.
Did he play really well in the NCAAs? I mean, not that he wasn't a good player regular season, but
he had a
really had a great
32-point
tournament.
game against Duke when they made it to the Final Four. That was in the Elite 8 game. And he was very instrumental in their success in the Big 12 tournament as well as Bonga hits.
Isaac's been in and he got 2 shots up in about 15 seconds of playing time.
Nice job by Jamel Morris at a Division II Fairmont State in West Virginia. Bonga gets another shot off, this time on the drive.
Bonga is not bashful. I'm going to go out on a limb right away. It's the first time I've seen him, but he is not bashful.
His long arms, rips the ball away on a steal and finds Malik Newman for the score.
Good play, Isaac.
Malik was undrafted in the draft 3 weeks ago. Big 12 tournament and the NCAA tournament, he averaged 22.5 points per game.
It's pretty impressive on a team that really spreads it out normally. You don't usually see a lot of big numbers out of Kansas.
And they had Mikhailuk. There's Newman, 19 points here right off the bench. They had Svi.
Devontae.
They had Devontae, and those guys were struggling in the Big 12 tournament. Yep. Malik Newman took over in stretches. Malik Pope from San Diego State wants a rebound.
You want to be in the box score. He told Jeffrey Carroll, hey, you're already in. I got to get my name in that box score.
Newman missing on the drive there. This game once upon a time was tied at 3. And then the Lakers poured it on a 14-3 spurt. Led by as many as 23 points. Detroit was able to get it down to 10 on their one sustained drive of the game. And now Bonga one-on-one missing with 13 seconds to go.
And neither team has shot the 3 well, but Lakers did about everything else very well.
6 seconds to go. See if Jeffrey Carroll gets 2 more. He's going to dribble out.
I like it.
And the Los Angeles Lakers are going to head to the Summer League semifinals, and they'll face either Cleveland or Toronto. And the former Cavalier, LeBron James, the newest Los Angeles Laker, enjoyed his baseline seat to see Josh Hart and the Summer League Lakers win their quarterfinal matchup. Hart finishes with 18 points, 4 assists. Brandon Ingram, LeBron James.
Lester Connor, the coach, right here. Lester's with Brandon Ingram.
Josh Hart's just been so impressive this Summer League. And I think today you mentioned Svi Mykhailiuk in the second half, specifically in the third quarter. He ends up the high score with 19 points.
No question. He got out. No, took 5 threes, was 2 for 5 from 3. We're used to seeing him shoot it from downtown, but also 4 boards, a couple assists. Very solid performance for Svi. And again, Josh Hart walking over, talking to Coach Connor.
And the Detroit Pistons run at the Summer League is over. Their 3-game win streak comes to an end. They'll finish at 3-3 in Summer League play. Henry Ellenson ends up with 22 points. Been a decent Summer League for him. And Zach Lofton opening some eyes as well with 21 points and 5 rebounds.
Henry did a good job getting it to the free throw line. 10 for 11 from the free throw line. Bruce Brown didn't shoot it well from the field, but did an excellent job also from the line.
Josh Hart finished with 18 points. Standing by with George Sedano.
Thanks, Kesty. Josh, you guys have been so dominant out here. 5 wins, but you've won 17 of the 20 quarters. How have you guys been so dominant?
We're playing together, and we're buying in, and that's hard. In Summer League, when everybody individually is trying to prove themselves, but we're all playing together, we're playing unselfishly, and that's kind of the reason why we're able to dominate the way we've been.
How have you imposed your leadership, I guess, because everyone gets thrown together and chemistry could be off in these situations?
Just talking, being unselfish, trying to teach these guys more about the NBA game because it's totally different in college. Those are the main things, and these guys are being real receptive of it, and they're high character guys.
Individually for you, what are the goals here at Summer League?
Just to show the improvement and to win. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm not here to have fun. I'm not here to joke around. Obviously this is my second year, but I'm here to win, and I'm here to dominate, and that's what I'm doing.
You've had a couple teammates out here. Saw you saying hi to Brandon Ingram there. Of course, LeBron is here. What is it like to have your teammates here supporting you?
It's cool. Obviously, those guys are here today. Then Zoe and KC, Kuz, JaVale, Lance, all those guys been here. So, to get, love from, the guys that we're going to be playing with this season is always great.
Josh, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, George, thanks a lot. And you just saw LeBron James and Ty Lue, former head coach, embracing Josh Hart. Impressive again today, PJ.
He did. The one thing he didn't do was shoot it deep, although he made that one 1 for 5. But he pushed the ball, handled it, finished in traffic. Did a really good job. Svi Mykhailiuk was the guy who I thought really stepped up, showed the other facets of his game. We know you can do that, Svi, but put it on the floor, a handle, called a nice Euro step right there to finish, running the floor. There's going to be opportunities for him. I thought a lot of good things from Svi, but those numbers strong. 37, those 2 of the teammates for LeBron. LeBron's got to like what he saw this afternoon. I was reading Ty Lue's lips, by the way. I didn't tell you I did that really well. He said, "Are you sure you signed that contract?" It's definite. It's not just a rumor. Yeah, it unfortunately finished.
Ty Lue, some smiles, of course, head coach for LeBron James over the last few years. LeBron's got to like what he has seen here this afternoon. As you said, there's 2, maybe 3 guys that'll be on the roster, but Hart, and I think specifically Mykhailiuk, we've seen different aspects of his game that we saw a little bit at Kansas, but here on the NBA level, able a little more spacing to show a little more what he could do.
No, I think, again, and that's what's so good about Summer League. You can put guys in situations and tell them, look, I want to see you do this. Whether it's a guy that, has been on your roster like Josh Hart, if you're looking to step up and show more what he's capable of doing, or a rookie, Svi Mykhailiuk. All right, we know you did this for Bill Self, but you're going to need to do this to play with LeBron James. Show us that right now. This is a perfect time to do it. They had 3 games in Sacramento. They're 5 and counting right here in Las Vegas. They're looking for their second straight championship in the Las Vegas Summer League.
So the Cavaliers are coming up next against the Toronto Raptors. Just by chance, Lakers, then Cavs. So it's kind of nice to see Ty Lue, and it feels much different than it did at any other time when LeBron made his decisions to go to Miami, go back to Cleveland. I think the Cleveland fans have shown, hey, you brought the championship that you promised in 2016. They took them to 4 finals, and with Ty Lue, a lot of smiles, and they know LeBron's moving on to the next chapter.
LeBron learned from Miami. He didn't promise as many as he did when he got to Miami. They got the one in Cleveland, and Cleveland was happy, and well, they should be.
So we will have the Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors coming up in our next quarterfinal to face the Lakers. Nick Nurse is the new head coach of the Toronto Raptors, and he, of course, is the Summer League coach. He's with George Sedano.
Thanks, Kesty. So, Nick, you're going to be a head coach in the NBA. You've gotten a chance to coach Summer League. What has this been like for you?
Well, it's been really good from a staff perspective, most of all. I mean, them getting to know me and how we want to run practices and the meetings and all that stuff and the philosophy. So it's been a really valuable experience for us.
How nice has it been to have a guy like OG Anunoby on the roster, someone you're going to have on your regular roster?
Well, that's good, too. You know, it gets him a little up to speed with me as well. And we gave him a little room to breathe out here, got him the ball, got him some touches, let him play a little bit, try to expand his offensive game a little bit. I wish he was going to play today, but he's done for the Summer League now, but he did a good job.
Nick, what kind of conversations have you had with guys like DeMar and Kyle Lowry?
Well, those are the first 2 guys we saw right after they gave me the job, and just with Kyle, just assuming more of a leadership role, even more. He is one of our team leaders, but want him to take that up another notch. And with DeMar, we've concentrated on a couple things, the 3-ball and becoming a little bit more of a 2-way player.
Defensively, that's somewhere where he's even talked about he'd like to improve upon. What were those conversations like specifically, if you can help us out there?
Yeah, well, that's a good point, because I went to see him, and that was the first thing we talked about, but he was kind of taking the words out of my mouth about what he wanted to do to improve. So I think we're on the same page there. Now we've got to come up with a plan and execute it. We don't expect him to be a stopper on game 1, but as the season progresses, improvements, learning how to guard all-star players, etc. We hope we can go with that.
What kind of luxury is it for someone like yourself, a 59-win team? There's very few first-time coaches that get that opportunity.
Well, it sure is. I think everybody asks me that. Do you feel the pressure? And yeah, I do feel the pressure, no doubt about it. But the reverse is usually you're taking a 25-win team and you're a few years away from the playoffs, and I certainly would rather have the former.
Yeah, no doubt. Nick, thank you so much for the time. Good luck tonight. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, guys, that's Nick Nurse, Toronto Raptors head coach. Back to you.
All right, George, thanks a lot. And the nice thing when you talk about taking over a team that has 59 wins, he's invested in that team because he's been there for so many years. I was just going to say,
he was a part of the 59 wins. And Nick Nurse has paid his dues. He's coached internationally. He's coached in the G League very successfully. And he was there with Dwayne Casey. And the transition is going to be a smooth transition. He knows the players know him. LeBron exiting right now. Fred VanVleet re-signed. Not a lot of roster movement for Toronto. Why would you? Best record in the East last year. The problem was the guy who just left the building. That wasn't Elvis. That was LeBron, and that was the roadblock that Toronto had. That roadblock's not there anymore. Now, I do think they're the favorite, but it's fair to say there's a lot of talent at the top of the Eastern Conference right now, both young and veteran talent. And certainly you want to see a healthy Gordon Hayward, a healthy Kyrie Irving back with the Celtics.
Well, it's good to see LeBron here in the building. Good to see him mingle a little bit as the Cavaliers came on and talked to Tyronn Lue, and now with LeBron leaving figuratively here today, and of course the Cavaliers, there's Colin Sexton. He's not going to fill his shoes, but as a primary ball handler he may, and he's shown us here in Summer League pretty skilled for a young guy.
No, Colin Sexton is impressive. There's no question about it. I talked to Avery Johnson about him at the draft. I mean, he said, hey, this is a big, strong, aggressive scoring guard. He can put it on the floor. This is a finish with the left hand right there. He can shoot it from outside. You hide under a pick and roll. He's got the range. He's going to do that right there. He can play without the ball, so he can play with George Hill. Two of them are going to play together. He doesn't just have to be a point guard. His numbers here, Kesty, 18 a game, almost 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He had 17 in the game that put him here in the quarterfinals. Colin Sexton has been very impressive. Again, this is not I think he's going to be like the rookies last year, like Donovan Mitchell, like Jason Tatum, like Kyle Kuzma, who showed what they were capable of here in Las Vegas and then took it to the NBA as rookies.
That'll be fascinating to watch. Colin Sexton join a roster that pretty much is not going to change from last year. You exit LeBron James. We talked yesterday about Kevin Love's numbers.
Kevin Love will be a different player.
Yeah.
I think he'll be an excellent player, no question about that. JR's given him good minutes over the years. Tristan kind of got a rebirth at the end of the year. You know, looked like he was a forgotten man. All of a sudden back in the lineup, and he helps get them to the finals again. So there's still talent there. There's no question. The two players who came aboard from the Lakers, Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson, so Kyle Korver coming off the bench. There's still talent. There's no question about that. And they're in the Eastern Conference, and it's an Eastern Conference without Mr. James. So it's a different Eastern Conference.
And we'll see how Ty Lue and, of course, James Posey, who won now 3 championships, if you include as an assistant coach a couple of years ago with the Cavaliers. But Ty Lue, sounds like they're going to push the pace a little bit more. Remember, the pace numbers have been down in Cleveland the last few years. They were an older team. Now they got a younger engine coming in.
And they got to find ways to score easily. You got to get the ball down the floor before the other team get it set up. When you have LeBron, you can, you know, cut it up into half court too. It's not going to be a problem. I do think they'll play differently. But again, the cupboard's not bare. But let's be realistic. We're talking about a team that's been living in the finals. Talk about lower expectations. Nick Nurse might have very high expectations. I don't think the expectations are going to be remotely like that in Cleveland, and they shouldn't be.
But should they be higher than the expectations when LeBron left the first time? Remember, they bottomed out, ended up with the #1 pick in the draft with Kyrie, but totally different. Totally different structure this time.
The cupboard is not bare. There's better players still there. There's players that have playoff experience, that know how to win, and there's a decent combination of youth and some veterans there for Tyronn Lue.
See Nick Nurse, the new head coach. We see the back of Nick Nurse as he is the summer league coach, and of course is going to be the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. So remember, our next game up, Raptors and Cavs, you got to move over to ESPN2. Coming up in just moments, we'll also have the Celtics and Trailblazers. Philadelphia will take on Memphis. 3 more quarterfinals to come. One team has already advanced to the semifinals, and that would be the Los Angeles Lakers, who beat the Pistons. Coming up next, we'll have MLS Soccer, Timbers, and LAFC here on ESPN. And join us on ESPN2 for more Summer League action next.